And welcome to another PowerPoint slide with Olivia again. I love these. So I like to use them as a bit of talking points if you haven't recognised already. So let's talk about why the housing market is basically up. It's basically got to do with inflation and construction. So, fun fact for you, 700 construction companies in 2023, in just a 3-month window, went into insolvency. With 1,400 construction companies that went completely bankrupt only in the second half of 2023. So in the last 2 years, it gets worse. In the last 2 years, 2,000 companies have gone down. Construction companies. I didn't even know that many existed until I started reading the reports. So not only did they all go down, the reason why they all went down, it's really because of inflation and they didn't plan for it and they're not really good business owners and managing money. That's a root cause to the problem. But essentially the reason why they went down is because all the material costs went up 20 to 40%. And a lot of building companies give you a guarantee on what they're going to build the house for. And so because they would build in that guarantee, it's like, yeah, sure, Olivia, well, you could build this house, sign this contract for $400,000. Oh, fuck, we didn't think that all of these things were going to go up in price because they didn't know about the Ponzi scheme with money and inflation. So they didn't anticipate that the average material cost went up 20 to 40%. They couldn't build that in. So for those building companies, it was actually just easy for them to file for bankruptcy rather than try and work try and get the money to work for them. So the three main reasons for the chain of events of why this happened. It all started thanks to the stimulus packages that were turned on in 2022 and all of the dwelling approvals that increased that was in 2020. And then all of the dwelling approvals that increased in 2020 by 23%. 23% dwelling approvals. That is huge. That was why, because they wanted to turn on, because of COVID or lockdown stuff, they wanted to turn on all the workers to get back to work. And then on top of that, we had the lowest interest rates ever. So everyone's borrowing capacities were really, really high. And then on top of that, we had that builder, the home builder scheme, which is where you could get all this money. I don't know if you recall this back in 2020. You get this extra money if you had built a new house. We'll give you more money for building to, again, get all the builders moving and stimulate. So all of that mixed with the fact that they just turn on the printing machine, which then had more money in circulation, which meant everything just naturally went up. So it was just literally a disaster about to happen. Now, I started seeing this at the very start of 2020 when they announced that they printed $1.1 trillion. And I teach my clients how to read this printing and when it's about to occur, which I believe it's about to occur. Now, don't take financial advice of this, but I believe it's going to happen again around 2026. Towards the end of 2025 to start of 2027, a big print will happen again and shit will just go through the roof again. And I believe we're going to be on that cycle now every 5 to 7 years as opposed to every 7 to 10 years. Anyway, off topic there a little bit. So then what happened so that was all in 2020. Then what happened is by 2022, the construction costs got so bad that builders with the fixed locked-in agreements I was just explaining, they just couldn't continue with their build commitments anymore. Because what happened was steel increased by 35%. Timber increased by 50%. I remember that. Timber was wild during that period. I was like, what the fuck? How on earth can a business survive with this? Concrete increased by 20%. Construction wages went up by 3.9%. So it all just went up like real sudden and very sharp that no one had time to plan and forecast this shit. And if you actually understand money and business and inflation, you would have been able to forecast this. But anyway, so overall, all of this combined had an average construction cost that went up by 30%. So just for context, they normally only go up 1 to 2% per year. That's why it all crashed. That's why it got really, really bad. All those companies went down. So by 2023, everyone's like, oh, we have a rental crisis. We don't have many houses to build. The root cause of why we don't have enough houses is because of this construction industry. It's actually not. People think it's a lot of the migration. Yes, migration isn't helping it, but there has been data scientists have measured a scenario that if we turned off all migration for 7 years, we still would not be able to keep up with the amount of houses that we would need to have for just existing people in Australia. If immigration was completely turned off, it would not solve the problem. So what was the root cause of all this? Inflation, money printing. And I keep coming back to this a lot because people don't understand that this is fucked up and that this is what we're in. And I try to grab people to shake them and be like, wake up. We literally are designed and in this system it's going to keep getting worse. So what can you do about this? Well, I'm going to tell you to buy property as quick as you possibly can. So don't be buying property off the plan. I have another video on why off the plan property is really bad. So watch that if you want to. Buy properties below replacement costs or as close to it as possible. So, for example, if it cost $450,000 to build a new basic 3-bedroom house or 3-bed, I haven't seen it done any cheaper than $400,000. If you could buy a house on a land for $400,000, $400,000 to $500,000, you're buying it under replacement cost. That will help you as well. And literally just buy more. Keep buying as many as you can because those properties, the property market is simply propped up by a big Ponzi scheme of inflation. And that everyone benefits from it. So it can't crash and they won't let it crash. Because every time that it should have crashed, I've watched them print through it. They either print through it or they come up with some sort of what I call stimmy package, right? So they bring out a new stimulus package and be like, well, fuck, this is going to collapse. What can we do? Okay, we'll bring out a stimulus package of the building grant. We need building happening. Okay, people, get out there and build. We'll give you $10,000 if you do it, or $20,000, I think it was. So if this was of any value for you, please comment below. It really helps me create more content for free for other people out there. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you can get all my juicy stuff.